Okay. Okay, so it's recording.
All right. So I am Sandy Wood. I own Woodcrafters Incorporated, and your role is Pat
Mm-hmm. Yep.
with Viking, right?
Yep.
So, so Pat, we have a, a disagreement, I guess you could say. Um, we were under contract. Excuse me, my company was under contract um, to do some carpentry work at some of your condos, and we ran into what you're calling a cost overrun.
Mm-hmm.
We did not have any of these changes in writing, and so now you're saying that you're just willing to pay what we had initially um, agreed upon.
Right.
My position is that we had you came to me wanting to differentiate your condos from some of your competitors. Um, you were wanting to do that by like putting in higher quality products. While you were on vacation, I had the opportunity to procure some high-end oak that would be put into the condos that I estimated would greatly increase the selling price of those condos. I ran it past your secretary while you were out, who you had told me kind of had authorization to speak on your behalf. And then the secretary told me to go ahead and move forward with that quality lumber. And then that's what led to the cost overrun. It wasn't really like anything on our end as far as extended hours or anything like that. We just had to spend more up front to meet what I thought was going to be your demands. I really feel like the full $9,500 per unit, which is a total of $950,000, is owed to us. I mean, we've worked together in the past. I'm a tenant of yours. Um, I, I understand that you're frustrated with some other aspects of the situation, but I just wanted to go ahead and put my 2 cents out there that I think that we should be reimbursed for the full cost plus I guess you would call it an overrun, but what I would call it just an increase in cost. But I just wanted to see what you thought about that before we actually start the negotiation, I guess.
So for us, I mean, for me, I feel like we really do only owe you the 700,000. My secretary, or Fawn, I think her name,
Yep.
she was telling me that you had approached her saying that this was going to be a less than 3% cost increase, which was only around $200 per unit is what she thought she was agreeing to and what you had made it sound like, where in the end it was actually a $250,000 increase. And if she would have realized that, she would have never agreed to that. I mean, that puts me at a negative $30,000 loss on the project if I end up paying you $950,000. Because while I was over, I don't know how much you know of this, but while I was on vacation, I have actually made a business deal to sell the condos to a friend who's actually going to take them over.
Okay.
And with your increase to $950,000, based on what she is buying, essentially each unit from me, if I give you the $950,000, I'll end up losing $30,000 on the project.
Okay.
And essentially that's because instead of the $200 per unit that Fawn thought she was agreeing to, that 3% increase in your original cost, it was actually $2,500 per unit is what it turned out to be.
Yeah, I'm trying to look back at the document about where there could be that confusion. the original lumber that we were going to put in the units was $5,000 worth of lumber per unit. The increase to the oak lumber brought us to 7,000 per unit. So I'm trying to find that percentage that you said Fawn was saying 3%.
Yes.
So that's definitely not 3% increase. I'm just trying to see where that comes from on my end to see if there was something that I relayed the wrong way to Fawn. Says Fawn was reluctant to make a decision, even though it represented a small increase in total construction costs, probably less than 3%.
Yes, and so she was explaining to me that she was reluctant and she didn't want to make the call, but then with it being less than 3%, and she said that you also mentioned that, you know, the other developer, the competition essentially, was going to, what did she say? Basically, they were going to buy it and negate the, like, people would start buying them and our quality image would be negated because they'd be buying this oak instead.
Right.
And so she figured, okay, for less than 3%, 200 per unit. You know, she's made minor changes before, so she thought, okay, that's okay. But again,
Yeah.
there was no signing in writing, and it was never brought through us. And I mean, a $250,000 increase is huge.
Sure. And I really, as I'm looking at this, I don't know where that 3% would come from, because it even shows like my original bid and then the proposed amendment, and the it moves from $7,000 to $9,500 cost per unit to me, or excuse me, cost per unit to you, and my cost, like the lumber cost, went from $5,000 for the original lumber to $7,000 for the oak lumber. So that's certainly not 3%. I don't know. I don't know if that's I'm not really sure where that 3% came from. So if that was somehow not relayed correctly by me in the past, I apologize for that. But I mean, I want to be as transparent as I can with you, because I'll be honest with you. My business is very dependent on the business relationship that I have with you, as well as the relationship as a tenant of yours. So I want to work this out, but I'm just being transparent with you that I mean, we would be taking a huge loss as well if we only got this 700K. So I guess the next thing that I wanted to discuss is just how much of dire straits that I'm in right now. I'm really staring down the barrel of a bankruptcy, and I owe you $200,000. Not even talking about this deal. I owe you $200,000. You're going to want me to pay this back at some point as well. You know, I don't want this to get turned into something that's written off in bankruptcy. You know, I want to make right by you. I want to make right by our situation. But like under the current, me getting $700,000 for this job from you will lead me into bankruptcy. That will in turn, it will in turn lead to you not getting your $200,000. It will also result in me having to close my business, which, you know, I pay $5,000 a month in rent to you. I'd just like to see if there's some way that we can work this out, to where I can stay on my feet as a business and you know, start paying back some of this principal to you. But I mean, and I'm willing to be as transparent with the financials as need be. But I mean, I feel like I need to know where you stand financially in order to even start going through this.
Right. I mean, and that makes sense. So for me financially, I've got let me get the numbers exactly here. I've got a partnership where we're building a hotel complex, and I've already committed to $500,000 in investments there.
Okay.
In addition to that, I need to keep $20,000 for working capital, just kind of go forward to have it.
Mm-hmm.
And then in addition, there's a new lakefront property that I would really like to purchase. This isn't a partnership. This is kind of my own thing. It's just, I think, you know, times are bad right now. I think it's in a couple of years, it's going to be worth $250,000 without development. Just, I would really like to purchase this lakefront property, and that's $200,000.
Okay.
So all in all, for my future investment needs, I'm looking at $720,000 for projects within the next couple of months that I would really like to start. With that in mind, I do have, if we're being transparent, we need to figure something out here. I've got 300 on hand. In addition, if I would pay you the 700,000, I would be making $220,000 off this condo complex, all 100 units. My profits would be 220,000 because,
Okay.
like I said, I made a deal to sell it to somebody else already,
Mm-hmm.
and that's before I knew of this potential 950,000. At the original cost, everything was settled. With me paying you 700, I'll be making around 220. And then in addition, I have your loan for 200,000. And then something, you hadn't brought it up yet, but I know with your rent, the last 2 months haven't been paid. And I
Correct.
know you had told me you want to move out and you're doing something else, but that, you know, there's a 90-day period there where I still do need that extra $10,000 for the last 2 months.
Correct.
With all of that, if everything went, you know, perfect, I'm at $730,000. So that leaves me $10,000 of wiggle room to make all of my future investments that I would like to do.
Okay. All right. So my cost per unit, and my honest cost per unit, it was $9,100. So it doesn't seem like I'm going to be able to get around taking a loss. Right now, I'm taking a $2,100 per unit loss. So losing $210,000 on your project, and that is adding to my already bad financial situation. So unless there was enough wiggle room for you to come to $910,000, which, if what you just said, if I'm adding this up right, it doesn't sound like you do have that much wiggle room.
No.
Okay. And so that leads me to what the last thing I want to do is file for bankruptcy, lose my business. One thing I certainly didn't want to do, but I'm willing to explore, is selling my house. I have a house that is the fair market value is about $1.1 million. However, in this current market, I would only get $800,000, and I've got some loans against the house already, or some liens against the house already. So I really wouldn't profit all that much by even doing that. But it looks like that's something that I'm going to have to explore. Let me ask you this. First things first, like if I can have one thing, it would be to be paid in the next 15 days. And the reason for that is because of the oak that I special ordered for you, is due in 15 days. The payment for that is due in 15 days. That was $700,000. If I don't pay that by that date, then that would in essence trigger the bankruptcy as per the story here. So if I have one thing that I absolutely have to do is know that you can free up whatever amount we can come, whatever we can come to, whatever kind of agreement we can come to that benefits us both the most in the long run. I have to know that you could be able to pay that in 15 days. And I know it sounds like you've got some liquidity issues as well. Is that something that is possible on your end at all?
And that's just the 700,000.
No, I mean, at minimum, that's where we're at now. Which doesn't leave me, like I said, that doesn't really leave me in a very good situation. I wanted to throw out some alternative ideas on that, but I just wanted to know do you even have the liquidity to pay your bill as it stands today in 15 days? Because if not, I mean, then that's when I'll have to hit the panic button for real.
I could do that today, yes. Again, like I said, I can't do the 950,000 that you're asking for.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
the planned on 700,000, I could do that within 15 days.
Okay.
Obviously, we'd need to come to some other terms and additional agreements moving past this.
Let me ask you this. So do you have somebody in mind to fill the rental space?
Yes.
You do? Okay.
Yes.
All right. That was, I mean, I know that I'd given you my notice, but I know that in this market, it might be difficult to find somebody that's going to pay $5,000 a month for rent. But maybe if I were to sign a lease for another year, give you that additional revenue. I didn't know if that was something that you would be interested in. But if you've already found another renter, that eliminates that possibility
at
too.
the end of the month. So
what's that?
They're set to move in at the end of the month.
All right. So let me see now. Let me look at my sheet real quick.
I mean, I have a question. So because I wanted to use the $200,000 loan to buy this lakefront property that I was explaining to you about. Are you able to pay me that today or in the next 30 days, say?
Let's see here. Let me go back through my notes just to make sure I don't speak out of turn. So, and how much is that rental place that you want?
The lakefront property.
The lakefront property. I'm sorry.
200,000.
Yeah, it's the margins here are really, really tight. In essence, yes. If I were to sell my home, which is, like I said, something I was hoping to avoid, but it is something that was given to me as an alternative. If I were to sell my home, that would free up a little bit more money for me to pay some of this stuff back. I'm not really sure on the full amount. Would it be possible? What about half of that, like $100,000? Would that give you the liquid money that you need to get your lakefront property, or no? I mean, right now I'm giving up everything. I'm keeping my business, which is the only thing that I'm keeping. I'm losing my house here. I will have to move to an apartment. I'm losing where we currently do business. I'm losing my storefront that I leased from you. I'm not getting the absolute minimum that was owed to me, even though I feel like there was some fault on both sides. I don't know how much more I can give up really in this situation,
Right.
but
I mean, would there be any potential, you think, if we did do half now, so just 100,000?
mhm.
I mean, when do you think you'd be able to pay back the other 100,000? Like what kind of
uh,
time frame?
I don't know if I have enough information to like. Do you have how long would you want? Would you have to have the lakefront property paid
I
off?
mean, as as soon as possible would be best, but to keep a relationship, and again, with if I would do only pay you the 700,000 and I can profit off the condos, I'd be willing to, risk the lakefront property and wait. I mean, I don't want to, but if I have to wait a few months or half a year, and if it's still there, great. And if not, then look for another opportunity. That's okay, because I would at least be profiting off the condos right now, which is very helpful.
Well, let me ask you: is the lakefront property in particular what you're supposed to be interested in, or are you just looking to invest in valuable real estate?
I'm just looking to invest. It's
Okay,
the
well,
hotel property that I have to have the $500,000 for right now. And if you gave me
uh-huh.
100,000 of the loan, and then if I only paid you just the 700,000 right now to cover the oak, I would be able to meet this hotel deal.
So, would you be interested in in buying my house at the current offer that I have, which is 800,000?
That's would not be possible at all for me.
No, that would not be possible. Hmm. Um, in that case, yeah, that could you do it for 600,000 and forgive the loan?
I don't think so.
No,
No.
you don't think so. Okay, I didn't know if it's written in there
No.
in that way to.
I mean, I just recently had to sell my own house. I
Okay,
also had a probably close to $1 million market value home, and I sold it, and now I'm living in a small apartment as well.
all
So
right. So yeah, all right. So it seems like that's what we're gonna have to do then. So if I let's get this straight. So let's say you pay me hypothetically the lowest possible amount, which is it would be the 700,000 that we originally wrote the contract for.
mhm.
And once again, like I said, I'm taking a $2,100 per unit loss on that, but I acknowledge that I should have had that in writing. There's some mistakes on my end on that. If you were to pay me that 700,000 and guarantee it within the next 15 days, um, I could I could um, I could probably come up with at that point. Let's say I owe you, in essence, $10,000 for the past due rent plus the $200,000.
Mhm.
So let's see here. What would that leave me total? I don't know if I'll be able to. I don't know that I'll be able to give any more than half towards the um the principal of that loan. I mean, that would be me turning around after taking this huge loss and then paying you, let's say 110,000, the 10,000 for the past due rent, and then 100,000 towards the principal of the loan. That would leave me bare bones, keep my business afloat. Um, I I don't know. I don't know exactly how much you have to get in order to make everything work out for you, but as I'm looking at right now, nothing's really working out for me.
Mhm.
So
I mean, if you could do that, I won't get the lakefront property, but I'll at least
Okay.
be able to cover what I need to cover right at this moment, and I would be okay with that.
Okay. How about this? What if let's say you pay me the 700,000, the absolute minimum on the receivable, within 15 days. That part's crucial. That's the one thing that under no circumstance can I bend on. I have to have the money in 15 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then I pay you 110,000 today,
Mm-hmm.
or right after I settle this deal with the oak vendor, and then agree to pay you the remainder once my business is back up and running. In essence, that leaves me just enough money to get my new workshop, um, and keep my business afloat. In essence, and that's with me selling my house. By the way, my that's the only way that I can make this work because of
Mm-hmm.
such a loss on the job. That's with me selling the house, so I'll be in the same boat your neighbor at the apartment complex. But is that something that we can work towards? I don't know how quickly you have to have the remaining balance paid, but as we sit right now, you're not getting anything paid.
Right. Right.
So,
And also, I mean, when I confronted my lawyer, they talked about if you would go bankrupt, and even though you owe me right now $210,000, I could have, that preferential treatment, and I could be forced to give that money back, and that could be shared among all of your debts. So, I don't want to make you go bankrupt and essentially
right.
lose even more.
Yeah, I think, I mean, that was kind of written on my end as well. Pretty much, yeah. Even if you force that $210,000 out of me, the court can come in and take that money back from you, as I had other debtors that took precedence somehow or another.
Right.
So, so I think that that's something that could work for me if we just need to come to the terms on the last bit as far as like when you need the remaining payment. Um, like I said, this depletes me in every way besides keeping my business afloat. I would like to have that capital to get the new office, or the new storefront and whatnot. But I think that we need to, if I'm going to pay you only half, I think there needs to be some sort of an agreement moving forward, because as it stands right now, we're kind of severing our business relationship to a degree. Now, do you have future work that maybe you could throw my way and we work a percentage or something like that?
I would if I have the lakefront property. As of now, I'm not going to be having that future work at the moment.
How much work would need to be done at the lakefront or the lakeside property or whatever?
I don't have that information. I'm not
You don't
sure at
know
the
that.
moment.
Okay.
But
You don't have any other condos in the works right now, just
I'll have this hotel partnership that I'm looking to start. So, we could definitely, I think, look into if we can hire you there, if we can give you some business there.
okay. I think that is something that would definitely interest me. Um, Perhaps um, we could set up a payment schedule based on future work. We might be going outside of the case a little bit on that, but I think that, I mean, we have to use some creativity here. Um, I think that if we, if you're agreeing to throw some future work towards to me, in which I can give, rate cuts somehow or another to make up the difference of what I can really pay you back. Like I said, as it stands now, I'm not paying you anything. Like as our relationship has been, I've had this $200,000 that I've been owing you for a while now, and I've not been able to make any kind of payments. But this might be a way to pay some of that back. That's
Yeah,
if
I think
agree to
that
that.
would be
Okay.
good.
All right. So then maybe let's just recap this a little bit. $700,000 you pay me within the next 15 days. Upon you paying me that, I will pay off the lumber that I owe, and then turn right back around and pay you the $10,000 past due rent and $100,000, half of the principal on the loan. We will continue our business partnership to a degree, as far as you contracting me for your hotel project or any other future projects, under the presumption that I pay back. What do we want to say? Like that I give you half. Excuse me. Let's say half of my typically, like for this last project, I use a 7.5% markup to like figure out my profit. We could cut that down to like 4% markup for all your projects, which would give you 3.5% back towards the principal of the loan, or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, would it be safe to say, so say we get the hotels up and running over the next year, the 3.5% that we save in markup will go towards the principal, and then whatever's left at the remainder of, whatever you feel comfortable with, say they're a year or maybe 18 months, then you pay back the rest of the principal?
I think that's fair. That would give me a year to kind of get back into the groove of my business, all the while, showing you the good faith of giving you, very good deals on the work that you're getting, and then that being turned around and put onto the principal loan, and then the balance being paid a year from now, 12 months.
Yep, we'll go with a year.
So the way I'm writing this is just 3.5% discount to be paid to be applied to the principal of the loan. Right. And I think that if that sounds good to you, that works for me.
Okay.
And then we've got a deal.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right. I guess we've got to do that